Okay, so let's unpack this. For decades, really, Las Vegas has just been synonymous with glitz, glamour, nonstop entertainment.
Absolutely. The entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah.
That's the brand.
Exactly. It's built this global reputation, this shimmering oasis where people go to let loose, escape reality, maybe strike it rich.
That whole fantasy element.
Right. But recent reports, and honestly, just the vibe on the ground, they're painting a really different picture. And it's quite concerning.
Yeah, I saw that Newsweek piece. The headline alone was striking.
That party may soon be over line. It grabbed a lot of attention. So today, we're not just glancing at that headline. We are diving deep into that exact question. Is the party truly over for Las Vegas?
And it's a big question.
A huge one. And if it is, or even if it's just winding down, what does that mean for this iconic city's future? Its economy? Its whole identity, really.
What's truly fascinating here, and I think what makes this deep dive so compelling, is that the narrative around Vegas right now, it's anything but simple. It's not just one thing. We're witnessing this complex mix, this confluence of economic shifts, big changes in how consumers behave, and even some, broader geopolitical undercurrents that are all playing a role in how this story is unfolding.
Right.
So our mission today is really to sift through a pretty rich stack of sources. We've got everything from the hard financial reports, gaming stats.
The numbers.
The hard numbers, exactly. But also real estate insights, and maybe most importantly, those candid, unfiltered accounts people are sharing. On social media, Reddit, X, places like that.
Yeah, the firsthand stuff.
We'll examine the data, try to connect the dots between these things that might seem separate at first glance, and really help you understand the full, nuanced picture of what's genuinely happening in Las Vegas right now.
Getting beyond the headlines.
Precisely. To the core truths.
That's right. And our sources for this deep dive are deliberately varied because we wanted to give you a really comprehensive view. We're trying to bridge that gap between the official numbers and, like you said, the lived experiences.
We're just so important.
So we've pulled insights from major news outlets, Newsweek, Fox News, but also those specialized industry sites like casino.org and CDC Gaming for the real financial specifics.
The nitty-gritty.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
We looked at real estate market analysis, and critically, we really immersed ourselves in those candid discussions, those personal stories from online communities.
Because that context matters.
Exactly. This mix is vital because it lets us see not just the what, like visitor numbers are down, but the crucial why behind these trends. It helps us understand why people are talking about Vegas the way they are and why their actions or lack thereof are showing up in the city's bottom line.
Indeed. It's like seeing both the forest and the individual trees, right?
Yeah.
Connecting those big macro trends with the micro experiences on the ground.
That's a great way to put it.
The quantitative data, the numbers, they give us the undeniable scale of the problem. You can't argue with those. But then the qualitative insights from real people, they provide that personal, often emotional why behind the numbers.
Yeah.
It offers a truly immersive understanding, not just what's happening, but how it feels to the people actually experiencing it.
Absolutely. So let's start by grounding ourselves in those hard numbers because they paint a pretty clear and, frankly, a concerning picture right off the bat. That shimmer Vegas is famous for.
Yeah.
It really does seem to be fading, at least according to the latest stats.
It's not subtle.
No, it's not just a whisper. It's a measurable decline.
You've put it very aptly. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the LVCVA, they recently released statistics that, well, they've raised more than a few eyebrows across the industry.
Okay.
In June of this year, Las Vegas saw only 3.1 million visitors. Now, to really get the significance of that number, you have to compare it.
Right. Context is key.
That's an 11.3% drop compared to the same month last year. For a city literally built on tourism and foot traffic, that's not just a dip. It's a significant erosion.
11.3%. Wow. And what's really compelling or maybe worrying about these stats is that this isn't just a slight isolated dip. It's not a blip on the radar.
No, it seems systemic.
Casino.org pointed out this is the first double-digit decline since February 2021. And for our audience, you'll remember February 2021. That was still very much pandemic times, right?
Absolutely. Travel restrictions, hesitancy, a totally different world.
So to see a decline of this magnitude now, well into the post-pandemic recovery phase, it's a stark indicator of deeper issues. And what's more, It's not an isolated month. Visitation has actually been down every single month this year compared to 2024.
Every month?
Every month. The average decline year to date is a substantial 7.3%. That translates to, get this, 1.5 million fewer tourists in just the first half of 2025 alone.
1.5 million fewer people. That's staggering. That's like a whole small city deciding not to visit.
Exactly. It's a huge number.
And this isn't just about abstract numbers on a spreadsheet either. We've got some powerful visual evidence that really brings this home.
Oh, yeah.
There's ex-user Alex Cole, who shared a series of tweets from late July, just a few weeks ago. And they captured images that are, well, unsettling if you know the Strip.
What do they show?
The photos showed nearly deserted streets right in front of the Aria and an empty entrance to Excalibur, places that are usually just swarming with people.
Wow. Empty.
Empty. And critically, Casino.org and Fox News didn't just report on these tweets. They actually took the extra step to confirm through AI analysis that the photos weren't edited or manipulated. They're real.
So it's genuine footage of quiet streets.
Genuine footage. Imagine like a Saturday night on the Strip and those iconic, usually bustling spots are quiet, almost eerily so. That's such a stark contrast to the vibe, the packed atmosphere we all picture when we think of Vegas.
It really speaks volumes without saying a word, doesn't it?
It really does.
You see these places, normally shoulder to shoulder, looking uncharacteristically quiet, almost abandoned. It's a tangible sign, a visceral sign that something significant is happening on the ground beyond just what the numbers can convey.
Yeah, the visuals make it real.
And this quiet, it isn't just on the streets, it's echoing in the hotel lobbies. And crucially, the empty rooms, too.
Oh, absolutely. The hotel industry, I mean, it's the backbone of Vegas's whole tourism machine, right? And it's feeling a substantial and pretty painful impact.
What are the numbers there?
According to STR, the hotel analytics provider, occupancy rates in early July plummeted to just 66.7%.
66%. That's low for Vegas in July.
Very low. And it represents a nearly 17% decrease from the same time last year. Newsweek reported that. Fox News noted a 6.5% drop in June specifically, while CoStar data, cited by Casino.org, showed an even steeper 14.6% decline for June.
So significant drops across the board.
These aren't minor fluctuations. They signify a dramatic reduction in filled rooms, which hits everything, staffing, budgets, everything.
And it's not just about how full the rooms are, right?
Yeah.
Also about how much money those rooms are actually bringing in. Occupancy is one thing, but profitability per room, that's another story.
Precisely. That's where metrics like ADR and RevPAR come in. Vegas has recorded the steepest national declines in both average daily rate, or ADR, the average price paid per room, and revenue per available room, or RevPAR. For anyone in hospitality, RevPAR is like the critical barometer of health. It combines occupancy and the room rate.
Right. It tells you how much you're making overall per room you have.
Exactly. Newsweek reported that RevPAR was down a significant 29% year over year. 29%.
Wow.
And Fox News added that ADR specifically dipped to $163.64, down 6.6%. Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, these hotel metric declines aren't just numbers. They directly mean less money flowing into the city's core.
Less cash.
That huge drop in RevPAR especially signals a profound challenge to profitability. It indicates a broader, deeper economic squeeze on the entire industry. It means hotels are either getting fewer guests, charging less, or likely both.
Makes it hard to cover costs.
Very hard. Even Tom Reed, the CEO of Caesars Entertainment, publicly acknowledged this. He predicted a soft summer for the industry. That's a rare and telling admission from a major player like Caesars.
Yeah, you don't usually hear that kind of public caution.
It suggests they're bracing for continued headwinds, for sure.
And it's not just the hotels struggling to fill rooms. The traditional lifeblood of Vegas, what built the city's whole reputation gaming, that's also seeing a really significant slump. It impacts the core identity of the Strip.
That's absolutely correct. State regulators reported Nevada's overall gaming revenue fell by 2.2% in May compared to a year earlier. But the Vegas Strip, the crown jewel, saw an even larger drop, 3.87%. Newsweek highlighted that.
And this isn't new, right? It's been happening for a while.
No, it's not new. The casinos themselves have been experiencing what Newsweek called a months-long streak of falling revenue. It's a concerning trend that CDC Gaming detailed specifically for the Strip. We've seen year-over-year declines for 3 consecutive months leading into the summer.
3 months straight on the stretch.
Yeah. A 2.8% drop in April, a 4.7% decline in March, and a really substantial 13.7% decrease back in February. The sustained decline shows it's not just a blip, it's a pattern demanding serious attention.
Okay, so if people are still visiting, even if fewer are coming, why isn't that translating into gaming revenue? It seems kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Why are the gaming numbers down if the casinos are still open? What's happening on the floor?
That's a perceptive question, and part of the answer comes down to something called hold percentages.
Hold percentages. Okay, break that down.
Sure. The hold percentage is basically the percentage of money the casino keeps from the total amount wagered, which is called the handle.
So the casino's cut.
Exactly, they're cut. In April, the Strip actually saw lower hold percentages, even though the total amount bet was higher in some areas. For instance, slot revenue was down 5.3%, even though the total amount wagered in slots actually increased by 2.3%.
How does that work? More betting, less revenue.
It was due to a lower slot hold. It was 8% this April versus 8.6% a year ago. So essentially, the casinos were holding on to less of the money that was being gambled in those machines.
Ow.
For casino operators, that's a tough scenario. Even if more money is being bet overall, if your cut from each bet shrinks, your profitability takes a direct hit. It means you're working harder for less profit.
And puts immense pressure on their financial models.
Huge pressure. It forces them to look for revenue elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Through those increased fees or higher minimum bets we hear about.
That's a fascinating insight. So more money might be flowing through the machines, theoretically, but the house is keeping a smaller slice of the pie.
Precisely. It's like a restaurant having more diners, but making less profit on each dish sold.
Got it.
Now, amidst all this decline, there was one maybe minor bright spot, baccarat revenue. That's typically a high roller game. It actually rose by 42.2%.
42%, that's a big jump.
It is, but, and this is a big but, that gain was significantly offset by a much larger and more impactful 16.1% decline in non-baccarat table games. Their revenue dropped quite a bit.
So the regular table games like blackjack, craps.
Exactly. Those were down significantly, which highlights a shift. Maybe fewer casual table game players are showing up, or maybe, again, the casino is holding less from those games, too.
So less foot traffic overall, fewer people gambling. It logically follows that fewer planes must be landing at the airport, right? That's got to be another key economic indicator for Vegas.
Absolutely. The declines aren't just limited to the Strip itself. Harry Reid International Airport, it's the main gateway. It serves as an undeniable barometer for the city's overall health.
And what's it showing?
It saw a 4.1% year-to-date decline in total passenger numbers. That's according to both Fox News and Casino.org.
Okay, 4.1% down overall for the year so far.
And if you drill down into June specifically, there were a significant 400,000 fewer people flying into Las Vegas compared to June 2024. 400,000.
Wow, in just 1 month.
Just 1 month. And international arrivals, which often mean higher spending tourists, they were hit particularly hard, down 9.8%. Even domestic passenger numbers were down 6.1%.
So it's hitting both international and domestic travel.
Yes. It directly correlates with those dwindling visitor numbers and paints a very clear picture. Fewer people are making the journey to Vegas at all. So what does this all mean when you put it together?
Yeah.
Less foot traffic, less gambling, fewer planes landing. It paints a pretty stark picture of a city struggling to attract its core clientele, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And these problems, they aren't staying contained just within the tourism sector itself, are they? They're having wider, deeper ripple effects through the city's whole economy, even on the residents.
That's a truly critical point, and one that often gets overlooked when we just focus on the tourism numbers.
Right.
Newsweek highlights a concerning trend. Las Vegas has apparently seen a significant exodus of its residents. People are leaving.
Residents are leaving. Why?
Well, this outflow of people, combined with the tourism slump, is naturally hitting the local housing market hard. Realtor.com's June report provides striking evidence. It shows Vegas had the largest increase in housing inventory nationally. Active home listings were a staggering 77% higher than a year ago.
77% more homes for sale. That's huge.
Huge. And Robert Little, a local real estate agent in Nevada, he explained it's not just because buyer demand has slowed down, though that's part of it. More importantly, he noted that investors who are big players in the Vegas housing market are choosing to cash out and reallocate their funds.
So investors are pulling money out.
They're pulling out, moving their capital into other, potentially more promising opportunities elsewhere. That signals a real loss of confidence in the city's long-term economic outlook among people who track these markets closely.
So residents are leaving, investors are cashing out. That genuinely sounds like a devastating 1-2 punch for the local economy. And with all these pressures, I imagine unemployment must be a major concern too.
It absolutely is. Nevada already holds the unfortunate distinction of having the nation's highest unemployment rate overall.
Still, wow.
Yeah. And specifically in Las Vegas, the workforce saw 5.8% out of work in June, and that marked its second consecutive monthly jump, according to casino.org.
So unemployment is climbing in Vegas.
It is. Jeremy Aguero, he's a senior analyst at Applied Analysis. He described this whole situation very aptly as a pretty formidable 1-2 punch for a city that is so heavily reliant on those flows of outside cash.
Right, the tourist dollars.
Exactly. He emphasized a crucial point that's easy to forget. Southern Nevada is more dependent on the tourism industry than any other major market in the United States today, period.
More dependent than anywhere else.
That extreme dependence means that when tourism falters like this, the effects just cascade rapidly and broadly through the entire local economy. It impacts everyone, from service industry workers to small business owners, suppliers, you name it.
And this raises that important question you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
What's the broader economic context here? Aguero's analysis suggests Vegas's struggles could be seen as a symbol for issues facing all Americans, especially because its economy is built on discretionary spending. Can you elaborate on that connection?
Certainly. Aguero's point is really profound because it positions Las Vegas as a kind of canary in the coal mine, a bellwether for the national economy. Think about the city's core offerings. Gambling, lavish hotels, high-end dining, booming nightlife. By their very nature, these are discretionary expenditures. They're luxuries, right? Not necessities.
Right. Things you do when you have extra cash.
Exactly. And what happens during times of economic hardship or even just widespread consumer stress? Discretionary spending is invariably the first thing people cut from their household budgets.
Makes sense.
So when a city built entirely on indulgence struggles this profoundly, it's a stark indicator of widespread consumer anxiety across the U.S. It suggests people are feeling the pinch from inflation, maybe stagnant wages, or just general concerns about their financial future, and they're tightening their belts.
So Vegas slowing down means Americans are cutting back overall.
That's the implication. As Aguero notes, while some might believe Vegas has a tendency to be somewhat recession-resistant, maybe because people still want to escape, no one has ever seriously suggested it's recession-proof. Consumers across the U.S. are feeling stressed relative to the cost of living, and that directly impacts their ability or even just their willingness to splurge on a Vegas trip.
It's not just Vegas, it's reflecting consumer stress nationwide.
Yeah.
When belts tighten, the first things to go are those big splurges, and Vegas definitely falls into that category for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But beyond these big macroeconomic shifts, what are the visitors themselves saying? The actual people who used to flock to Vegas, why are they staying away? It seems like there's a really strong sentiment on the ground about the cost.
Oh, definitely. This brings us to a truly crucial element, the cost conundrum, and this phenomenon that many visitors are calling nickel and diming.
Nickel and diming, I've heard that a lot.
Visitors are increasingly citing this as a major deterrent. Newsweek reported that prospective visitors are being put off by steep room rates, dining costs, and pricey amenities. Bill Zender, he's a veteran gaming consultant, he went as far as suggesting Vegas might be overpricing the market again, drawing a parallel to what happened back in 2008, 2009 during that downturn.
So history repeating itself, maybe.
Potentially. The perception of value, which honestly was once a cornerstone of the Vegas appeal, cheap rooms, cheap food. If you gambled, that seems to be rapidly eroding.
Imagine planning that fun trip. You're expecting some indulgence, some excitement, and then you get there and find yourself paying these kinds of just exorbitant prices for everyday stuff. It really adds up fast.
Oh, it does.
And that cumulative effect can quickly turn the anticipated fun into frustrating sticker shock. We saw some specific examples from Reddit comments that are truly eye-opening, almost unbelievable. Can you walk us through some of those?
Yeah, these anecdotes really capture the essence of the sticker horror, as one user put it, that many visitors describe.
Sticker horror, I like that.
It fits. Consider these examples, straight from Reddit comments. A staggering $44 for a double Jack and Coke.
$44 for one drink.
$44. Or how about $22 for a simple highball? Or $20 for a Hendrix and tonic.
That's just insane.
And it's not just the alcohol. People are reporting $14 for a Starbucks coffee, or a mind-boggling $25 for an iced coffee and a bagel sandwich at Dunkin' Donuts.
$25 at Dunkin'.
$25! These aren't isolated luxury items at some fancy place. These are everyday purchases that just balloon a budget instantly. It's a complete shock to the system for many people who remember Vegas offering, comparatively good value, at least on some basics, especially if you're gambling a bit.
That truly changes the entire value proposition for a trip, doesn't it? It means even before you factor in gambling or shows or anything fun, your basic costs for just food and drink are skyrocketing.
Totally undermines the budget. And it's not just the inflated prices for individual items either. Those Reddit comments reveal that hidden costs, especially resort fees and parking, often double the price of a stay. That fundamentally alters the perceived cost.
How much are we talking for those?
Well, for example, a room advertised at what seems like a reasonable $70 a night can easily end up costing $150 per night once you add a $50 daily resort fee and maybe another $30-40 daily parking charge.
Wow, so more than double the advertised rate.
Easily. That Reddit user summed it up perfectly as sticker horror. It captures the frustration, the feeling of being exploited. This whole shift in pricing strategy fundamentally undermines that old promise of a value-packed getaway. It leaves visitors feeling nickel and dimed at every single turn.
And it seems the casino experience itself is deteriorating for the average visitor, too. That legendary concept of comps, the free rooms, meals, shows that used to make you feel like a valued guest, even if you weren't betting millions.
Yeah, the perks.
Those are apparently horrible now, according to Reddit users. People complain they gamble 5x's more and get virtually nothing. It feels like that golden age of casino generosity is just gone, replaced by a much tighter, more restrictive environment.
That's a very widely shared sentiment in the sources we looked at. One gambler at the Flamingo, for instance, reportedly now needs to spend $40 every 20 minutes just to qualify for free drinks at the bar.
$40 every 20 minutes for a drink.
Yeah, a stark contrast to how it used to be. It really seems the old Vegas charm of feeling like a big shot or getting that free experience is rapidly fading. And this isn't just about the financial loss for the player, it's about that psychological contract between the gambler and the casino.
How so?
People feel less valued, less appreciated, almost, as one Reddit user vividly put it, like cattle getting robbed.
Ouch. Cattle getting robbed.
It's a pretty dehumanizing description, isn't it? And it clashes completely with that escapist fantasy Vegas once offered so effectively.
Definitely. So beyond the comps, are there changes to the actual gaming itself that are pushing out the casual player? Are the rules of the game literally stacked more against the average tourist now?
Absolutely. Beyond the comps, the very nature of gaming on the Strip has undergone significant changes. And yes, they seem designed to push out casual players. Reddit comments consistently highlight a widespread increase in table minimums. $50 minimums are becoming common, even for basic games like blackjack.
$50 a hand. That prices out a lot of people.
Immediately. Many people just want to casually try their luck, not risk $50 on every single hand. We're also seeing a proliferation of 6.5 blackjack payouts instead of the traditional 3.2.
Which is worse for the player rate.
Significantly worse. It increases the house edge considerably, making it harder for players to win over time. Then there's 000 roulette, which adds another zero pocket, again skewing the odds further in the casino's favor.
So less favorable odds across the board.
Pretty much. And there's also been a noticeable increase in electronic table games and, conversely, an elimination of some traditional lower-stakes live table games.
Okay.
This whole collection of changes signals a very clear and likely intentional shift in the target market. Many Reddit users flat out claim that casinos only want whales coming now.
Whales, super high rollers.
Exactly. They feel the casinos are no longer catering to the average tourist who used to flock to Vegas for an affordable, fun gambling escape. This fundamentally redefines Vegas's appeal. It's like they're betting on a smaller, much higher spending segment.
Which seems risky.
It carries significant risk, especially if that segment's behavior changes or if they don't show up in the expected numbers. It turns Vegas from this mass market fun zone into more of a niche high-end destination. That's a massive strategic pivot.
Yeah, it really is. And all this, the soaring costs, the diminished comps, the tougher gaming rules, it seems to be contributing to a major vibe shift on the Strip. It's not just about the money anymore. It's about the entire atmosphere, the feeling you get when you're actually there.
Absolutely. The cumulative effect of all these changes is a profound alteration in the perceived vibe of Las Vegas. The overall sentiment, especially in those online communities like Reddit, is that Vegas is a scam for visitors now, that the value is completely gone.
Harsh words.
Very harsh. Descriptions of the Strip range from an overpriced rip-off tourist trap to a place that makes you feel drained before you even sit at a table, and just generally customer hostile. It doesn't sound like the carefree, indulgent escape it used to be pitched as.
No, definitely not.
And beyond the direct financial costs, visitors are sharing anecdotes about a whole host of other negative experiences that detract from the trip. They talk about widespread rudeness from staff, overwhelming crowds in certain areas, just incessant noise that pervades even supposedly relaxing spots.
Yeah.
And even very visible issues like homelessness and the pervasive smell of pot smoke on the sidewalks. All these factors contribute to a negative overall experience for many, pushing away those looking for a relaxing or luxurious getaway. The dream is being replaced by a harsher reality, and that kind of perception is incredibly difficult to reverse once it takes hold.
So it's not just the money, but the whole atmosphere has seemingly soured for many visitors. And that ties directly into another massive piece of this puzzle, the global perspective. International visitors, who were once such a critical driver for Vegas's prosperity, they're now staying away in droves.
Huge concern.
This is a huge concern because their spending habits are often very different, much higher than domestic tourists.
That's a massive point, and it truly cannot be overstated how vital international visitors have historically been to Las Vegas. Pre-pandemic, they accounted for a significant chunk, about 20% of all Las Vegas tourism.
1 in 5 visitors.
Right. But beyond just the volume, their economic contribution is truly immense. In 2023, for example, roughly 4.6 million international tourists contributed a staggering $13.2 billion to the city's economy.
$13 billion.
Billion with a B. That represented about 26% of the total direct spending in the city. So this segment isn't just important for visitor numbers. It's absolutely crucial for the city's high-end retail, its luxury dining, those large-scale entertainment venues that really cater to higher spending habits.
Those are truly huge numbers.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just about volume, right? These international travelers also spent significantly more per trip than domestic tourists, making their absence even more impactful for the city's bottom line.
Exactly. The spending breakdown by region is quite telling and really underscores their value. Overseas visitors, so not Canada or Mexico, averaged an impressive $4,023 per trip.
$4,000 per person per trip.
Yeah. Canadians, while geographically closer, still contributed significantly at $1,730 per trip on average. Mexicans averaged $1,891 per trip. And among those overseas visitors, Australians actually led in per-trip spending, averaging an incredible $6,598.
Wow, nearly $6,600 per trip from Australians.
Incredible, right? So this raises that important question. Losing international visitors isn't just a drop in overall numbers, it's a significant blow to a very high-spending segment that forms a substantial part of the city's revenue stream. The ripple effect here is profound, directly impacts luxury businesses, high-limit gaming, all those establishments geared towards higher spending habits.
Yeah.
It's not just the quantity of visitors Vegas is missing, it's the quality of their spend.
And we're seeing specific, really dramatic international visitor declines from some of Vegas's most important markets.
Yeah.
Canada, for instance. Historically, they've been the top source of international visitors to Las Vegas.
Always number one, yeah.
But Canadian numbers have just plummeted in 2025. Flair Airlines reported a massive 55% drop in passengers flying to Las Vegas.
55%.
55%. Mm-hmm. And Air Canada, a major carrier, saw an 8% volume decrease. Just in June alone, Canadian flight numbers into Harry Reid International fell by around a third compared to last year.
A third fewer Canadian flights in June. That's huge.
These aren't minor fluctuations. These are massive drops from an absolutely key market.
And Mexico is another absolutely crucial market for Las Vegas, and it's also showing significant drops. Aeromexico, a major airline for that route, reported a staggering 63% drop in passengers from January to February 2025.
63%?
Yeah, reflecting an overall 16% year-over-year decline in Mexican visitors. And overall, Harry Reid International Airport experienced a dramatic 19.6% drop in total international passengers in February 2025. Almost 1/5 fewer international travelers passed through its gates in that 1 month.
So, okay, the big question, why? Why are our neighbors to the north and other international travelers suddenly steering clear of Vegas, and by extension the U.S., in such large numbers? Our sources highlight a really fascinating and at times quite contentious debate about the underlying reasons. It seems like there's a divided perspective.
Indeed. It's a really complex interplay of factors, and the sources definitely present a divided perspective. It's crucial for us to convey that impartially, without endorsing any particular viewpoint, because the debate is happening.
Right.
On one hand, there's a clear and, frankly, undeniable economic argument that resonates with many. A Reddit commenter, Frank M., pointed out a significant practical barrier specifically for Canadians. The Canadian dollar is currently getting hammered. It costs them $1.39 CAD for every $1 USD.
Ouch. That's a big difference.
It means their hotel room, their dining, their entertainment costs are effectively 39% higher right off the top, just purely due to the currency exchange disadvantage. That makes a Vegas trip significantly more expensive, period.
Just pure economics.
Pure economics. And beyond currency specifically, many Reddit users also simply point to massive inflation globally as the primary reason for reduced international travel overall. They argue people are just cutting back out of necessity because travel in general has become unaffordable rather than any specific political fear or aversion to the U.S. It's a pragmatic financial decision driven by economic reality for many.
Okay, so that's the economic argument. Cost of living, inflation, bad exchange rates. But then there's this other side to it, one that delves into the more subjective realm of perceived political, climate, and safety concerns. This seems to be a more sensitive and debated area within the sources we looked at.
Yes, and this is where the debate in our sources gets particularly sharp, and it warrants careful, impartial presentation because people feel strongly on both sides. Some Reddit users argue that foreign visitors are reportedly avoiding the U.S. due to concerns about the perceived political climate.
What kind of concerns?
Fears of potential detention, deportation, or even just having their phones searched by Customs and Border Patrol upon entry. They cite specific incidents, like the German girls in Hawaii case.
What was that?
Apparently, 2 German tourists arrived without pre-booked hotels and were reportedly detained, strip-searched, and ultimately sent back home. Now, these users suggest that while such incidents might not get wide coverage in the U.S. media, they become widely known throughout Europe and contribute to bad optics for potential international travelers.
So fear of hassles or worse at the border.
That's the argument some make. Other Reddit users explicitly mention concerns about the current administration's perceived xenophobic policies, things like on-again, off-again tariffs, and even perceived threats, however unlikely, to annex Canada as deterrents for international business and tourism. They paint a picture of an increasingly unwelcoming environment that makes foreign visitors hesitant to even attempt entry into the U.S.
Okay, so on one side, it's about the cold, hard catch, the cost of living, the currency exchange. On the other side, it's about a feeling, a perception of being unwelcome or potentially unsafe, whether that perception is based on direct experience, news reports from their home countries, or broader political narratives. It's a really fascinating dichotomy in the reasons people are giving.
Precisely. However, it's equally important that we acknowledge the counter-arguments presented within the same sources. Other Reddit users push back very strongly on the idea that political climate is the primary driver here.
What do they say?
They assert things like, nobody is randomly snatching people off the streets, and argue that affluent international travelers are not genuinely afraid to visit America. They contend that the decline is not because people are afraid to come to America, but solely due to that massive inflation that has simply made travel unaffordable for the average person globally.
So, back to economics again.
Back to economics. These users emphasize that people have maxed out their credit cards and are finally having to cut back on their lifestyle, implying that economic necessity, not political fear, is the overriding factor driving these decisions. So this raises that important question again. When we look at the reasons people cite for not traveling, it's clearly a complex interplay.
Yeah.
There's the tangible economic factor, currency rates, inflation that directly hits purchasing power. And then, as we see debated in these discussions, there's the subjective perception of safety and welcome, which can be influenced by broader political narratives, regardless of their factual basis or how widespread actual incidents are. It's just crucial for us to acknowledge both perspectives presented in the sources and the robust debate around them without taking a side ourselves. Both views are strongly held within the communities we consulted.
That's a really crucial distinction to make, and thanks for laying out both sides of that debate so clearly. Whether it's the undeniable impact of hard currency and inflation, or the perhaps more nebulous but equally impactful perceived political climate, it's clear that something significant is impacting international interest in visiting the U.S. and, by extension, Las Vegas. Now, zooming out from Vegas itself for a moment, Jeremy Aguero from Applied Analysis, you mentioned him earlier, he offered that interesting perspective on Vegas's struggles acting as an economic bellwether.
Yes, Aguero's insight is quite powerful. He suggests that Vegas's woes can truly be viewed as a symbol for the economic issues facing all Americans.
How so? Unpack that a bit.
Well, consider the structure of Vegas's economy again. It's heavily centered around gambling, lavish hotels, and a booming nightlife. All of these are quintessential discretionary spending categories, right?
Things you don't need.
Exactly, luxuries. And as Aguero notes, discretionary spending is consistently the first to go in times of economic hardship. He pointed out that while some folks believe that Las Vegas has a tendency to be somewhat recession-resistant, maybe because people still want that escape, nobody has ever suggested it's recession-proof.
Right.
This truly underlines that consumers across the U.S. are feeling stressed relative to the cost of living. Their household budgets are stretched thin by higher prices for necessities, food, housing, gas, leaving less disposable income for luxuries. So when people are forced to cut back, a Vegas trip is often one of the very first things crossed off the list.
So it's a very tangible reflection of broader consumer financial anxiety happening nationwide.
Exactly. It's not just a Vegas problem, it's reflecting that nationwide belt tightening.
Okay, that makes sense. When household budgets tighten, the first things to go are the big splurges, and a Vegas trip definitely counts for many families. But beyond just economic hardship, Vegas is also facing increased competition in the entertainment and gaming landscape. That wasn't maybe as prevalent in past downturns, was it?
That's a really key point. The gambling landscape in particular has changed dramatically over the last few decades. There's just a growing proliferation of gambling options much closer to home for many Americans now.
Right, casinos everywhere.
As casino.org points out, there are casino options now available in nearly every state, which means you often no longer have to fly across the country just to visit a casino. And furthermore, Reddit comments highlight that newer Indian casino resorts are stepping up big time. They're offering attractive, often quite luxurious alternatives that compete directly with the Vegas experience, but often without the associated travel costs, or maybe those nickel and diming complaints we talked about.
So how does this strip, with all its current challenges, actually compare to these newer or existing local casino options? Especially when we look at their performance. Is this competition really making a difference in the numbers?
That's a key question, and the data from CDC Gaming provides a very telling contrast. While the Strip has seen those consistent declines we discussed, Las Vegas neighborhood and downtown casinos showed their strength. There's a fascinating divergence happening.
So locals casinos are doing okay.
Better than okay in some cases. The locals casinos, which cater mainly to residents of southern Nevada, brought in $278.9 million in April. That was actually a 3.2% increase over the previous year.
An increase, while the Strip is down.
Exactly. Downtown Las Vegas also saw a modest but notable 1% increase. Other areas within southern Nevada showed resilience too. North Las Vegas was up 4.4%, and the Boulder Strip saw an impressive 8.1% increase.
Wow.
This strongly suggests that while the Strip struggles, the demand for gaming itself hasn't just evaporated, it seems to be shifting. People still want to gamble.
They're just doing it elsewhere.
Possibly. However, it wasn't universal good news. Laughlin, for example, saw a 7.6% decrease. And up in northern Nevada, Reno had a strong 9.1% increase. But Sparks, North Lake Tahoe, and South Lake Tahoe all struggled significantly. So there are regional variations.
Okay.
But this raises that important question. What does the resilience of those local Las Vegas casinos tell us? It suggests that the demand for gaming hasn't vanished, but rather the unique allure and, critically, the value proposition of the Strip is being fundamentally challenged. Visitors might be seeking out more accessible or cost-effective options closer to home, or maybe just a different kind of, perhaps less overwhelming gaming experience than the Strip currently offers.
It really sounds like the Vegas experience, or at least the gambling part of it, is now available in many more places, maybe without the associated frustrations or the high costs people are complaining about specifically on this trip. And it's not just individual travelers opting for alternatives. Even large conventions, which are a huge revenue driver for Las Vegas, are apparently looking elsewhere too.
That's a massive blow to the city's economy. Conventions bring in those high-spending business travelers who often extend their stays, bring family, fill restaurants midweek.
Yeah, they're critical.
And it's evident in the convention cancellations reported by casino.org. two major conventions, Infocom and Cisco Live, which collectively bring in nearly 50,000 attendees.
50,000 people?
Yeah, huge numbers. They made the strategic decision to hold their events in Orlando and San Diego instead of Las Vegas this year. This directly contributed to that significant 10.7% drop in convention visitation we saw in June. It further highlights the intense competitive pressure Vegas is facing, not just from other gaming destinations, but from other major convention cities across the country.
So even the business travel market is reevaluating.
It's a clear signal that even the MICE market meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions is reevaluating Vegas's value proposition right now.
Okay, so if Vegas is pricing people out and other destinations are stepping up their game with casinos and conventions, where are former Vegas loyalists going instead? What are the attractive alternatives that are potentially siphoning off its customer base?
Pallery Demon, she's a Travelmation advisor, offered several compelling alternatives in that Fox News piece, specifically for those looking to avoid Vegas's rising costs and maybe the changing experience.
Like what?
For instance, she suggested Atlantic City, New Jersey as a more affordable casino and beach alternative. You get the gaming, entertainment, plus the added appeal of being on the coast.
Okay, AC. What else?
For those seeking a completely different vibe, maybe more refined, she mentioned Napa Valley, California, offering a laid-back, elevated vacation experience focused on wine, food, scenery. A total contrast to the Strip's energy.
Right, a different kind of indulgence.
Exactly. And for those seeking oceanfront luxury but potentially better value, she pointed to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, offering oceanfront extravagance, spas, yacht charters, and five-star all-inclusives that offer a better value than Vegas, according to her.
All-inclusives, I see those mentioned a lot as alternatives.
Yes. And beyond her suggestions, Reddit users also frequently mention cruises and other all-inclusive resorts, especially in the Caribbean and Mexico, as increasingly attractive alternatives. They offer that clear, upfront price and often a perceived better value for money, especially for people looking for a relaxing, all-encompassing vacation experience without worrying about all those hidden fees adding up.
That's quite a comprehensive list of alternatives. It really highlights how much competition Vegas is truly up against now in the broader travel market, not just against other gambling cities. It's competing for the entire vacation budget.
Absolutely.
But despite all these challenges, and they seem pretty unprecedented in scale and scope, Las Vegas does have this long, storied history of reinvention. It's faced downturns before, economic shifts, changing public tastes, and it has always found a way to bounce back, adapt, evolve. So what's the playbook this time? How might Sin City reinvent itself once more?
You're absolutely right to bring up Vegas's historical resilience. It's a city that has consistently proven its ability to pivot and adapt when needed. Newsweek quoted an observation that really captures this perfectly. If there's one thing Las Vegas has proven since legalizing gambling in the early 1930s, it's that it is both resilient and resourceful.
Resilient and resourceful. I like that.
It fits. The city possesses not only those massive infrastructure investments made over decades, the huge resorts, the convention centers, the airport, but also, crucially, the capability to reposition itself fairly effectively. It has the physical assets and the strategic agility to respond to market changes. Adaptation is kind of built into its DNA.
That's a strong statement of confidence in Vegas's long-term future, despite the current gloom. So, given these specific challenges, how might they actually reposition themselves? What are the key strategies the sources are suggesting for this next chapter of reinvention?
Well, the sources suggest a couple of key adaptation strategies that seem crucial. First, and perhaps the most immediately impactful one, would be a fundamental reevaluation and adaptation of their pricing strategies.
Addressing the cost issue head-on.
Exactly. This is critical to appeal to those more cash-strapped visitors, as Newsweek suggests. It directly addresses those pervasive nickel and diming complaints we've discussed, which are clearly driving people away. It probably means rethinking resort fees, parking costs, maybe even the pricing of basic food and beverages.
Okay, so fix the pricing. What else?
The second, and arguably much more significant strategy long-term, involves deeper diversification. There's a clear acknowledgement across the industry now that casino gaming is no longer the revenue driver it once was, especially with all this widespread competition.
Right, you can gamble almost anywhere now.
Pretty much. Therefore, the city needs to aggressively expand into other areas, like sports and cultural attractions, to meet the tastes of the modern American consumer. Think about the success of the Raiders, the Golden Knights, the potential for more teams, more concerts, unique residencies, maybe even different kinds of cultural events.
Moving beyond just gambling.
Moving significantly beyond it. But this raises an important question. How radical will this repositioning really need to be? Is it just about tweaking the offerings or something more fundamental? It's not just lowering prices, it's about fundamentally rethinking what draws people to Vegas, especially as gaming becomes more ubiquitous elsewhere.
Yeah.
Will they try to become less of a pure gambling destination and more of a pure entertainment and major event hub? Almost like a supersized version of Orlando, maybe, focused entirely on spectacles and experiences over slots and tables. That would be a truly seismic shift for a city whose identity was forged in casinos.
That would indeed be a monumental shift, a complete rebranding, almost. But okay, for those who still want to visit Vegas, maybe they love the energy, maybe they have fond memories, and they want to experience some of that classic allure without getting completely caught in this current cost conundrum. Are there ways for savvy travelers to navigate the landscape right now and find some value? Can the average person still make a Vegas trip worthwhile without breaking the bank?
Absolutely. Mallory Duman, that Travelmation advisor, she offered some very practical, actionable tips on Fox News for getting more value out of a Vegas trip even now.
Okay, let's hear them. What should people do?
Well, first, timing is key. She strongly advises visitors to opt for a Sunday through Thursday stay. Why? Because, as she points out, often you can find 5-star rooms at half the weekend rate.
Go midweek. That's a classic tip, but probably more important now than ever.
Incredibly important now. It's a simple but super effective way to cut down significantly on lodging costs, which are often the biggest chunk of the budget.
Okay, stay midweek. What about food?
For dining, she suggests a strategic approach. Hit the nice restaurants for lunch rather than dinner. Or take advantage of tasting menus or happy hours. These options often offer a similar quality experience, maybe slightly smaller portions or a more limited menu, but at a fraction of the full dinner price. It lets you enjoy the city's great culinary scene without that full price tag shock.
Smart. Lunch specials, happy hours. Be strategic about meals. Okay, what about the gaming experience itself? You mentioned comps are horrible now, but for someone who does want to gamble a little, can they still get any of those perks that made Vegas famous? Is it completely gone?
That's a great question, and there seems to be a nuanced answer here. Some Reddit users actually confirm that comps are even better if you go midweek again, tying into that off-peak strategy, and, critically, if you diligently use a player's club card.
Ah, the player's card is still key.
Absolutely essential. They suggest a simple but potentially effective strategy. Put maybe $100 into a slot machine, play a little bit, perhaps just enough to register some activity on your card, and then cash out. Don't necessarily lose the whole $100.
Just show some play.
Exactly. That small action can often be enough to signal activity to the casino's marketing systems and prompt them to start sending you offers for discounted or maybe even fully comped future trips. It's a way to kind of leverage their system to get some of that old Vegas value back, at least in terms of future visits.
Interesting. So play the system a bit.
It seems that for the savvy, informed traveler, there are still ways to find value and experience a bit of that old Vegas allure, even amidst the current challenges. You just have to be smarter about how and when you visit.
That's good news, I guess, for those determined to keep their Vegas trips going. It's clear, though, there's this ongoing, quite passionate debate happening, especially on social media, about Vegas's future. Some people are really pessimistic. You see comments like, Vegas will never recover, that its glory days are definitively behind it.
Yeah, the doom and gloom perspective.
While others are much more optimistic. They predict it will adjust, it will even out, it'll find its new equilibrium. Some even optimistically believe that this current downturn might ultimately lead to better comps and maybe even waived resort fees down the line as the city works harder to win back its audience.
Which would certainly be a very welcome change for many potential visitors.
Wouldn't it just?
Indeed. And, if we connect this all back to the bigger picture one last time, the story of Las Vegas right now is just such a compelling microcosm of these broader economic and social trends that are impacting iconic destinations all over the world.
Yeah.
It really forces us to consider how adaptable even the most established, the most seemingly immutable places must be in our rapidly changing world. Its future isn't just about gambling revenue or visitor numbers anymore. It's about fundamentally reevaluating its entire appeal and whether it can truly reinvent itself effectively for the next generation of travelers. It's a massive test of its ultimate resilience.
A lot to think about, isn't it? As Las Vegas navigates these really profound economic challenges and these significant shifts in consumer behavior, the choices it makes over the next few years will shape not just its own future, but perhaps, as you say, offer a crucial blueprint or maybe a cautionary tale for other destinations facing similar pressures in this dynamic global economy.
Well said.
Yeah. It brings us to a final provocative question for you, our listener, to maybe mull over long after this deep dive concludes. What aspects of a place do you prioritize most when choosing a travel destination today? Is it the raw cost and the value for money? Is it a truly unique, maybe immersive experience? Or perhaps something else entirely: safety, convenience, familiarity? And how might your own travel priorities, and those of millions of people like you, ultimately influence the future trajectory of a city as iconic and historically as adaptable as Las Vegas? We hope this deep dive has given you a richer, more comprehensive understanding of what's truly happening right now in Sin City.